you write that King was attacked not only by segregationists in the South, but also by his own government, by more militant black activists, and by white Northern liberals. The result of these multi-sided attacks, you write, is that he was deliberately mischaracterized in his lifetime, and he remains so today. How, just sort of to keep going on this same framing, how have we mischaracterized King, and at what cost?
At a huge cost. We mischaracterize him as a conservative, as this safer alternative to Malcolm X's fiery demagogic oratory. That was just to use the words that Playboy fabricated coming out of King's mouth. We can talk about that later. But we have people today quoting King for all of these purposes that they know he would not sanction. In fact, they are using him as cover for their racism in many cases. You'll hear people say, Dr. King was obviously opposed to affirmative action. He said so. He said we should be judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin. And I said, did you actually read that speech? Because the first half of the speech is about reparations and about police brutality and about income inequality and about the check that came back for insufficient funds that was written to black Americans, right? You're just using him. And I think when we allow people to water down his message, when we allow them to offer this safe and sanitized version of King, we allow them to take cover. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another reason why it's important to keep King real. And I argue that King was more radical than Malcolm X. I had this great debate at Morehouse with the students where I said, I'm going to argue on behalf of Martin being more radical than Malcolm. Bring it on. And we had this unbelievable discussion. And I think it's important to think about the ways in which he challenged us. Mm. The reason that he was disliked by a Gallup survey said that 70% of Americans disapproved of Martin Luther King in the mid-60s is because he scared people.
Yeah. Derek, I'd love to bring you into this conversation, and I want to ask you a similar question. Many of us have inevitably heard of the 1963 March on Washington, and fewer of us likely know it by its full name, the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and fewer still know the full slate of the march's demands. So there's an executive order to ban discrimination in federally funded housing, a national minimum wage, a broad and fair labor standards act, a massive federal jobs program, and of course what many of us might know is this massive program for civil rights. Why is it critical that we understand the efforts towards racial justice as necessarily linked to economic justice?
Yeah, first gratitude for all you coming out, gratitude for the invitation from you, and Jonathan, that book is magnificent, so gratitude for writing the book. The statement you made earlier about the enormity of the responsibility because of the symbol of Dr. Martin Luther King, I'm putting words in there. There's irony because one of the best attributes of the book is that you personify him. And you personify him in a way that actually, in my mind, makes him more grand. What he had to do, the choices, the sacrifices that were made become even more enormous when I see a human being, when it's beyond just the symbolism of the way it's been depicted. It also is inspirational for all of us. Definitely, I'm gonna get over these emotions, but personally inspiring. To see that the human struggles in ways that all of us might when we have to make sacrifices to do good, and the responsibility comes along with it. So the answer to the question, it was a march about economic justice as much as racial justice, but here's perhaps the other point: they shouldn't be separable. To think, and this is part of the whitewashing of, I didn't mean to use whitewashing, this is part of the whitewashing of Dr. King also, when focusing on political rights, civil rights, and ignoring the economic rights. That approach can naturalize poverty and inequality. It can frame liberation as choice and freedom in those domains, but also King recognized and what is a necessary ingredient for authentic choice and agency is resource itself, a job, income, anti-discrimination. Unfortunately, that aspect of his work is not as prominent. But as we think about the daunting problems that we face today, and we think about justice and freedom more broadly, all of them are intertwined. The ability to civilly protest, the ability to vote, they're limiting, inadequate without resource. But here's another word, they're even co-opting.
Same
They-
word.
So they put the onus of inequality and poverty onto individuals rather than structures. It is a nomenclature that you can the content of your character, if you only just do the right things, if you don't like the system, just go vote. But voting is obviously limited if you're unhoused. Being able to civilly protest is limiting if you're hungry. And Dr. King and that whole movement at the time recognized it. And unfortunately, we have not achieved the progress in the dimension of economic justice compared to some of the progress in the other domains.
How has this influenced your own work?
Woo, so this is funny, right? To me, because I think I'm on to stuff, new stuff. Oh, you need all five. I'm feeling like, I'm on to something. I know I've cracked the code for freedom and justice. It's civil rights, it's political rights, it's cultural rights, it's social rights, but it has to be economic rights as well, right? This is in the UN Declaration of Human Rights as well. But nothing I'm coming up with is that original. The King did this, right? Perhaps there can be lessons learned and emphasis. So maybe if I can go back in time and he would hear anything I would say, I would emphasize that aspect of the work. Say the word economic rights, not just civil rights and racial justice. Some lessons learned that we can apply today is, why is economic rights such a dirty word? Why can't we just say the thing? And why don't we think about it as not simply charity, but the way King thought about it, which is investments, which is really promoting capability, self-determination of people, that these are necessary ingredients.